Tonight, two women want to warn others to stay away from a local tree removal service tonight. They say someone took their down payment, but they never came back to do the job. And now they want to warn others about a company called Lansing Tree Service Pros. And as 6 News reporter Shamir Owens tells us, that's apparently just one of the company's many names.
Anyone considering using this service, don't, unless you want to give away money for free.
Back in February, Diamond Wilson began looking online for a tree removal service to get rid of this tree from her backyard. She came across Lansing Tree Service Pros. Wilson says a man by the name of J.D. Gibson, who works for the tree service, came by, looked at the tree, gave her a quote, and then collected the cash.
The service altogether was going to be $1,200. So he said it's a 50% down payment, so that's what I did.
And after that, Wilson says they set a date for the removal, but when the time came,
he never showed and was basically like his lift had broke. And so he was like, I could come back after I get it fixed. Ever since then, he just hasn't answered or responded at all. He's just completely ghosted me.
Now it's August, and Wilson says the work she paid for in February is still not done. And to make matters worse,
one of the branches is like a pretty big branch. It's fell on my roof, and like, yeah, it's ridiculous.
I don't even want him to do the work. I just want my $1,300 back.
Shantia Robinson says the same thing happened to her and that she noticed a few red flags in the beginning.
The first initial thing that I should have been suspect about was his name when I wrote the check. He gave me J.D. Gibson. He pulled up in 2 different vehicles, no type of company vehicle.
On the receipt, Robinson says she was given by Gibson listed J&L Tree Service instead of Lansing Tree Service Pros. 6 News did some digging and found that there are 9 other tree service names with the same phone number as Lansing Tree Service Pros. And when we went to the address listed for Lansing Tree Service Pros on West St. Joseph Street, it led us to this house where no one was home. And the other address listed for J&L Tree Service on Holt Road led us to this mobile home park. Robinson says she wants others to be careful.
Just pay attention who you give your money to.
Well, 6 News did reach out to the company. A man who answered the phone at first said J.D. Gibson did not work there, but then he said he'd take a message for him. We'll stay on top of the story and we'll let you know if we hear back.
He's accused of taking the money and running, but tonight a local tree trimmer speaks out to share his side of the story. It's our top story at 6. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lauren Thompson. Sherry is off tonight. It's a story 6 News first told you about yesterday, right here on 6 News at 6. 2 women told us they paid a man to trim their trees, but then he disappeared after taking hundreds of dollars in down payments. Tonight, that man is speaking out, hoping to explain. Luke Snyder talked to him today. He's here for you now live in our studio. Luke, what did he have to say?
Lauren, J.D. Gibson is the owner of J&L Tree Service. It's a small company he says he started a year ago. He tells me he's heard the complaints, and he blames the delay on his broken equipment.
My lift is still broke, and I've even tried renting one, and I can't rent one anywhere. It takes time to get things done, and I've had to push a lot of people off because of employees don't want to work, or they screw stuff up and I have to fire them, and I never my intention to screw anybody.
That's what J.D. Gibson is saying tonight after multiple women have come forward with complaints about his company dating back as far as February.
He just hasn't answered or responded at all. He's just completely ghosted me.
Questions we raised to Gibson.
There was one person in February that said you were supposed to come out in February and you still haven't come out.
What I think happened there is I was supposed to go out there and my lift was broke again, and I think I forgot about her.
With weeks and even months gone by, at this point, most just want their money back.
I don't even want him to do the work. I just want my $1,300.
Gibson says he's having a hard time finding equipment because of competition in the business. But Gibson tells 6 News he plans to give everyone a call. If they want their money back, he will give it to them.
No problem. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Or if they want the job done.
And tonight, Gibson says he has a message for anyone who feels misled.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to try to screw you in any way or try to make you upset. And, I plan on making it right 100% because I don't want any bad blood with anybody. And I feel really bad that this went this far.
We reached out to several of the women today who say as of now they have not heard from Gibson, and they still don't expect to. We will continue to follow this story and bring you updates if and when Gibson does follow through with what he told us today. Lauren?
More people are speaking out today after they say they hired a mid-Michigan man to do a job and he left them high and dry and out thousands of dollars. Our Shamir Owens has been following the story and is here for you now with the latest. Shamir?
Siobhan, that's him, a mugshot of J.D. Earl Gibson. Today we learned that a few hours after our interview with Gibson aired yesterday, police found and arrested him. We're still working to figure out why. Over the past few days, 6 News has been digging for information on Gibson and several of his tree services. And since our stories aired, we've gotten dozens of phone calls, emails, and comments on our Facebook, all detailing bad experiences. A response to the news that a man they say turned their lives upside down is now behind bars. Jeffrey, Clint, Kelly, Jenny, Michael, Charlene, and Emerson say they wish they had met each other under better circumstances, but that they're glad they did.
Now we're all uniting together. So a number of us, well, I'm calling the Attorney General. I'm filing a small claims suit. I'm calling WLNS. And it just kept building and building and building from there.
Michael Henrici says he lost over $5,000 working with J.D. Earl Gibson.
I went on the internet. Called some people. JD responded, came out.
And after giving him a $2,500 down payment to cut some of his trees.
I hate to give him credit, but there's a lot of work on my place that was done.
But Henrici says Gibson never came back to finish the job.
Then I started getting the excuses. I started getting the no-shows.
Henrici says he never thought he'd see Gibson again. That was until he showed up on 6 News yesterday.
Is that him? Is it real? I can't believe. We just could not believe the hubris of the man to want to go on and tell this story.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to try to screw you in any way. I feel really bad that this went this far.
But Clint Miller says Gibson has a long history of being dishonest and taking from others. Miller says Gibson was a regular customer at his store. He'd buy a few items, then pay it off, but then payments started coming in later and then not at all.
It's the same JD that, I mean, he's been this way since I've known him. You know, he starts out the same way, good customer, good person to work with, and then everything just turns left field.
When we spoke with Gibson yesterday, he was very apologetic, said he never meant to rip people off and that it was all a misunderstanding and he wants to make it right. If you'd like to file a report with the Attorney General's office about your experience with Gibson, you can head over to the Scene on 6 section at WLNS.com for more information.